Imagine a queen so insatiable she challenged a prostitute to a sex marathon and won by bedding 25 men in a single night. But what if I told you she didn't stop there? She allegedly seduced an entire army, risking her empire for her wild desires. Buckle up, because this is the twisted tale of Messalina, Rome's most scandalous empress. If you think modern royals have drama, you haven't seen anything yet. Valeria Messalina, empress, wife of Emperor Claudius, a mother, a manipulator, a woman both feared and ridiculed. To her enemies, she was Rome's greatest shame, a woman so depraved that she turned a palace into a brothel, and so reckless that she staged a mock wedding to another man while her emperor still lived. But here's the question: how much of this is history and how much is propaganda? Because Rome thrived on scandal the way today's tabloids thrive on celebrity gossip. Ancient writers like Tacitus, Suetonius, and Juvenal weren't just historians, they were entertainers, satirists, and sometimes political assassins with a pen. When they painted Messalina as the most debauched woman of the ancient world, were they uncovering the truth or inventing the perfect villain? Let's peel back the layers of rumor and history to see who Messalina truly was, Rome's most wicked empress, or simply the victim of a story too scandalous to resist. Juvenal, the Roman satirist, is responsible for some of the most shocking tales about Messalina. He wrote that the empress disguised herself at night, sneaking from the palace to compete with prostitutes in the city's brothels. According to his biting verse, she would challenge the working girls to contests of endurance, seeing who could satisfy the most men before dawn. Juvenal even claimed that Messalina's record was 25 in a single night. It's the kind of story that makes jaws drop even 2,000 years later. But remember, Juvenal was not a courtroom witness. He was writing satire. His purpose wasn't accuracy, it was shock, entertainment, and ridicule. And in Roman culture, the easiest way to discredit a powerful woman was to attack her sexuality. But Juvenal wasn't the only one. Tacitus, the stern Roman historian, wrote that Messalina was shameless in her affairs, that she wielded her beauty as a weapon and treated men as pawns in her political games. To Tacitus, she wasn't simply a lustful wife, she was a dangerous manipulator who threatened the stability of the empire. And Suetonius, Rome's great gossip writer, went even further, preserving stories of Messalina's lust as if they were undeniable truths. Slowly, rumor hardened into legend. Messalina became less of a real woman and more of a symbol, the insatiable empress, the scandal of Rome. But was there any truth behind the tales? Messalina was young when she married Claudius, who was much older, awkward, and often underestimated by his peers. She quickly became empress and wielded enormous influence. And in a society where powerful women were already viewed with suspicion, her youth and beauty made her a lightning rod for gossip. Did she have affairs? Almost certainly. Roman politics was a ruthless game, and alliances were often sealed through intimacy. Did she go as far as Juvenal claimed, sneaking into brothels and competing with prostitutes? That's far less likely. It sounds less like history and more like a smear campaign designed to humiliate both Messalina and her emperor husband. Still, the rumors served their purpose. They gave her enemies a weapon, and in Rome, that was all anyone needed. Her downfall came in the year 48 AD, in a scandal so outrageous it still reads like theater. According to Tacitus, Messalina fell in love with a senator named Gaius Silius. Not only did she take him as her lover, she went so far as to marry him, in a public ceremony while still married to the emperor. It was an act of either staggering arrogance or an attempted coup. Was it love? Was it an attempted coup? Historians still debated. But one thing is clear. This was the final straw. The marriage was seen as treason. Claudius, humiliated and manipulated by his advisors, ordered her execution. Messalina was barely 20 years old, and just like that, her story ended. Or rather, her life ended, but her story was only beginning. For centuries, writers and historians retold her tale, embellishing the rumors, sharpening the scandals, and transforming her into the very embodiment of lust and corruption. But here's where we must pause, because when we strip away the ancient gossip, what we find isn't so much a portrait of Messalina herself, but of Rome's anxieties. A powerful woman who defied expectations, was always dangerous, and what better way to silence her memory than to brand her forever as the empress who could never be satisfied. So who was the real Messalina? Perhaps she was ambitious, reckless, and manipulative. Perhaps she used her beauty as a weapon in the brutal politics of Rome. But perhaps, too, she was exaggerated into a monster, because history, especially Roman history, was written by men who feared women who stepped outside their assigned roles. 2,000 years later, her name still lingers as a symbol of lust and scandal. But if we look closely, we might see something else. A young woman caught in the storm of empire, whose true story was buried under centuries of gossip, satire, and political agendas. So was Messalina truly Rome's most dangerous empress, or simply a victim of propaganda? Tell me what you think in the comments below, and if you want more forbidden tales and shadows of the past, don't forget to like this video and subscribe, because history still has darker secrets waiting to be uncovered.